Hello and welcome to Temtalk, a podcast about the creature collection MMO Temtem. I'm your host this week, Presby Kennedy, joined as always by the one, the only, the spectacular Mr. Gaijinbu. How you doing?
Yeah, that's you, Quarter. Congratulations.
Oh
All
man,
right,
me too.
so
My
yeah,
goodness.
Quarter has
Hey,
eaten Gaijinbu's
everybody.
soul. Gaijinbu has traded for quarters, so
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
it's what I do. I take people's life essence. It's part and parcel with the whole thing of casting. You know, we feed off each other.
it's fine, it's fine.
quite literally.
Indeed,
But
indeed, his sustenance was grand.
like I said, we do have a special guest with us this week. We have Quarter joining us as requested by some of the fans on our YouTube videos. Quarter's a one member of the Tim community. Quarter, I'll give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the people who might not know you.
Hi, I'm Quarter. You may have heard my voice talking about things over in Fellow Tamers, a pretty cool tournament that is one of the main cash prize ones that's going around right now. I also am one of the moderators for Paradox Engine, one of the I mean,
Scrub Guild
not to do
or
our own
Scrub
horn or
Club,
anything.
Scrub
They,
Club.
they they only just won Club Wars, so there is that.
Wait, Paradox Engine still exists?
I know, right? It's crazy.
God.
Yeah, but we're super excited to have Quarter with us. I Quarter and I used to cast things together back in the day, and we would waste so much time once we were done casting, like just talking for like 40 minutes to like an hour about the weirdest strategies. And Quarter, you were actually the person who taught me how to come up with TV spreads, like super in depth, where it's just like, maybe I don't need to put 500 HP and 500 in an attacking stat on every single Tim I own. Maybe I
Yeah,
can make specific breakpoints for things.
optimal breakpoints are just so much fun to start messing around with. I know some people who are genuinely the other side now, where it's like they're wasting a point. They're like, "Oh no, it's not right." I try not to go that in depth into it, but I do feel like getting the extra little points out of something there really makes or breaks a tem in a lot of instances. I mean, it doesn't stop people from still winning a lot with just basic spreads, but you'd be amazed what little advantages you get out of that. That's where those little clutch 1% in tournaments come from.
And I see chat right now, Helena saying I feel personally attacked. That wasn't an attack at you, Helena. That was on me. That was on me and how I used to build stuff.
Uh,
I redid two of my
Run
TV spreads.
500 spreads and it's pretty up there, you know?
I redid two of my spreads this week, and I was just like looking at them, just shaking my head of like, what was I thinking? Um, but that said, our main topic for tonight, if you're watching this video or listening to this episode while it's not live, you've probably already seen the title. The Club Wars final happened this week, so we wanted to talk about that, some of the ups and downs of it. Quarter, actually, I believe you refereed quite a few Club Wars matches this season.
Yeah, I was one of the volunteer referees. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to sit in on that one because there's a thing like conflict of interests being part of Paradox and then trying
Yeah,
to
and then of course, yeah, you're part of the brain engine behind
well,
PDX. So,
that too. I mean, you got to have that brain.
all right, so let's jump into what we've been up to this week. So I'll give the floor over to you first, Quarter. Been doing in Temtem this week. We always try and let the guests go first. How's your week in Temtem been?
Well, a lot of what I've been doing at the moment is split between a bunch of separate sort of support activities. One of the main things I do in my off time is breed. Breeding is one of the things that kept me in Temtem. It's just a lot of fun. I like nicknaming my Tems. I like sorting out how to get the optimal number of eggs out and getting them perfect, swapping it around. It's deeply engaging to me. And Koish has been the main thing I've been breeding at the moment because everybody wants them. And it's super fun trying to get all the different varieties of them. Outside of that, though, mainly just been trying to, do what a lot of us have been trying to do here and find a way to enjoy fishing. Although I'll admit I'm a closet fish fan just because I'm stupid lucky with it. Um, and
Yeah,
then
I've
outside,
forever won fishing. I got the digital Koish Luma on my first week. I'm never going back to it.
oh man,
You'll
I'm
never
jealous.
see me again, Nuru Lodge.
No,
I
that's
got
pretty good.
the crystal fish after like I think it was maybe like 100 something years.
Ooh, that's nice. That one's super pretty. How's the Luma of that one look?
I mean, it's yellow like all of the other ones.
Oh,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
pink.
guess that's fair.
Yeah. I honestly I wish that they would change the. I know it would be really hard probably to code this, but to like each element have its own Luma coloration. I think that would be kind of neat, just because like the yellow on every single one's kind of like,
Some of them
and it,
works better than others. Like electric
yeah.
Luma, I think is going to be the top tier Luma Koish. You
Oh, for
can't beat
sure, for sure.
lemonade fish. Like that. That's just great stuff.
Lemonade fish. I had a Koish radar last week, and I guess let's get into what I was into last week. I just did my weekly dojo quest last week, and then tackled one of my radars. And I didn't play a whole lot last week, just TV training while I was at work slowly and getting back into the stream of things. But yeah, I had a Koish radar last week, and I wasn't paying attention to it whatsoever. I've been playing a lot of like dinky other games. I'm really into just things I can put on my other screen while I work and leave them alone. So like Bloons Tower Defense, TV training, or anything like that. And every time I'd look over, like in the corner of my eye, I'd see an electric Koish. It's like Aluma Koi. Oh, it's just electric. Oh, it's just electric. Aluma Koi. Oh, it's just an electric Koish. And it was like 5 times in a row going through the radar. And it's like, oh, you're not gonna get me anymore. But yeah, I didn't get a Luma. How about you, Gaijin? How's your week?
My week is it's been pretty good. I didn't really do a lot of Temtem, honestly. I didn't get really good radars, so I was like, about it. I mean, I still like radars, and I still want to get Lumas to give away and stuff. I didn't feel like it this week. The Lumas were kind of meh. I did my dojos though, so I got some money and played a little bit, just messed around, and I've got an amazing competitive team coming thanks to the marvelous, wonderful Tsubaki Temtem, Sleepy Blank, and I believe Rusty Larry.
That's so incredibly exciting. Do you want to talk about the team before we jump into the news?
I mean, I don't know a lot of the logistics. I mean, I have spreadsheets, but I'm not going to share those because it was expertly crafted by Tsubaki. But I mean, I can read what's there. I can tell you that it's a fire aggro comp.
Let me be more specific, Gaijin. Do you want to talk about how you feel about the team? Like, are you excited? Because I know PvP to use like an area you don't venture into very much. So, like, what are your thoughts and feelings on the verge of this experience? Like, you're about to have your first like super cool great PvP team in your hands to do whatever you want with. Like, what emotions are running through you? Like, what thoughts do you have towards this, etc., etc., etc.?
I mean, I'm ready to get freaky with it. I
it's
thoroughly
time to get freaky.
I thoroughly do not intend to get like, oh God, what's an eloquent way to put this? I guess elbow deep in it. I don't know. I don't know. Like I've wanted to get into competitive a long time, but I'm lazy.
I feel
super lazy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to level Tems. I don't want to TV train Tems. I just want to pay people to do it for me, and I have not had the funds to do it until recently. Thank you, Luma Crystal. Thank you.
Gaijin rolling in the rich club.
I'm excited. I'm gonna get into competitive. I'm probably not gonna be a top tier competitor, but I'm gonna do my best. I know I'll probably get smacked down by 8-Bitten's Little Cup, and I'll never get to the ranks of Snarl Plat. I don't know if that's how you say it, or Senor Plat, or however it's pronounced, but
you can avoid 8-Bitten. Oh, go ahead, Quarter.
I was just gonna say that's the first time I've heard Snarl. That's a new one.
I mean, isn't it SNRL Plat?
No, it's SNR.
Are you sure? For some reason, I felt like there's an L in there.
You can always just call him Matt. That's what all the copy pastas call him.
I know.
But there's Senior Plat, but then there's also the alter nighttime crime fighting ego, Senora Plat.
Oh yeah, well I mean that's
Senora Plat.
Arguably the better one at Temtem. I'm kidding.
It's all right though. Watch me become a PvP god and take down Tsubaki with his own team.
I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
But I think this week, now that the team's ready, I think this week I probably will do a couple of streams with Subaki coaching me from the background, like on stream, like helping me learn the team and how to use it. So
Well, yeah, that was what I was gonna say. So for anybody listening to this unfamiliar with like the streaming community and the ladder at TMR ranks of 1,000 and below, there's somebody named Workman, also known in the community as 8-Bitten, who only uses baby Tims, and he's really, really ridiculously good at this game. Unfortunately, you only get about 40% effectiveness out of your TVs, and the rest of, your Tim's potential is made up in the Tims you choose. So there's only so much the baby Tims can do. So everybody kind of knows Workman as a gatekeeper of TMR. Of if you queue into the ladder, there's kind of a certain tier of player and teams that his teams can just wipe the floor with, and then once you get past that, you kind of avoid him in queue. So Workman is kind of what people call the gatekeeper of TMR. Of once you can beat his baby team, then you deserve to be able to climb. The fortunate thing that some people can do, if you do well in your placement matches, you can just avoid Workman. You can get to like 1,100 in your placements, and you'll never see him. And you just
I mean, why
you
would you
go on
want to
about your
avoid
happy
work?
life.
until you lose,
You gotta get your first gym badge off him. Like, it's a very important coming of age story, right? Like if you're going through your comp, you place low so that way you can really get that striving forward sort of feel about it, right?
Yeah.
absolutely. And let's be honest. I mean, you're not going to just win all of your games, and odds are you're probably going to lose a lot more than you win starting out. And it takes a lot more wins than it does losses to climb TMR. So you can get well under 1,000 real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. No. I'm not saying like, oh, it's just super easy. I'm just saying it's
Well, you're
possible.
saying you can avoid him altogether,
Well,
but
that
that's
is
not
what
true.
placement
As somebody
do.
who plays at low TMRs, I have never queued into Workman. The only time I've had like the opportunity to almost play against Workman, we both entered into two weeklies at the same time, and then we both enter plus OP weeklies, and then we both entered into a King of the Hill style match. And the person who
Ooh.
actually beat me, Workman, then played after me and beat that person. And I was just like, well, glad I didn't get worked by Workman on stream.
And we've got that immortalized in Hall of Fame because it's just too good to see. It's just
Oh
watching
gosh, do you
these
have
little
do you
team
have me
previews.
losing right before that match in that clip? Hopefully not.
I don't think so. It's just a screenshot, so that'd be pretty
Oh,
impressive.
okay, fair. Yeah.
But
The fortunate
no, I'm
thing
really
that I
glad that
love.
you've got
Oh, go ahead.
I'm really glad that you've got a good team sort of set up, guy. Boo. It can be challenging, as you say, getting into competitive at first step, knowing sort of what is going to actually be good versus what you think is going to be good. A lot of times, a lot of people I know try not to overthink that from the start and just play what they like. But it can be a very frustrating balance trying to gauge what is genuinely going on in competitive with your own tastes. And,
Oh yeah.
if your favorite Tem's something like Schween, it can be harder to try to find a niche on a squad for it than if your favorite Tem's something like Mix.
Exactly. And even though some of your favorite Tems might be your favorites, it doesn't necessarily make them viable. And
Also true.
trying to make a team work that's only full of Tems that you like it's never gonna work. And honestly, I mean, I used to play like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering, and for the most part, like I was
MTG.
never
I rep-
amazing at deck building. I did fairly good, but I mean, building teams has never really been my thing in games like this. Give me cards and stuff, and maybe I can kind of figure it out. But when it comes to building competitive teams like this, I've never gotten involved in Pokemon competitive or any type of competitive in a lot of like games like this. So, it's been intimidating, but it's gonna be interesting.
I really hope you have a good time there. As an aside, like if you have any questions, then you're not going to have to look too far for contacts inside the PvP community. Like we're all very tight knit, and it's fairly easy to ask around in general to like find out, okay, why isn't this working? Why is this happening? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I have a lot of contacts that, are more than happy to help me out. And I know that, anybody that also is interested in competitive can also go into a lot of these channels because most of them are open, and or even to some of these streams and talk with people about competitives and some issues they may be having, and just like it, the competitive scene, I have to say, is one of the most welcoming I've seen in a video game. Like, sure, sometimes people are going to tell you if you're doing something dumb, but it's because it's true.
Um, I'm going to just pause the conversation real quick. Pichu put a question in chat. How do you guys feel about tips for newbies? I think that's a really good question that can inspire a lot of discussion. So I'm just going to let both of you know we don't have any listener questions this week. So I'm actually going
Okay.
to paste that right now in our listener section, and we'll get to it when we get to it.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
a good
no,
idea.
I mean, I think that, taking questions from chat and adding them in is a great idea anyway. So, because I'd like to engage with chat while we're here, and people that, are listening later or watching later can hear the question, see what it is, and also get the response as well.
So that staff exists for more than just regurgitating copy pastas? What is it? This isn't tournament streaming. What's going on?
All right. So, do either of you want to say anything else on what you've been up to? Otherwise, we can jump into this news and then get right back into the discussion.
I mean, as far as Temtem, I'm good with everything I've been doing. I'm good to move along.
I want to no, I won't embarrass one of our listeners. I will not embarrass one of our listeners. Uh Somebody watching ran into a Luma this week but wasn't able to catch it, and it was a very,
Oh
very sad moment. I was gonna call him
no!
out and just be like, yeah, this happened, but yeah.
Oh,
Is
Uh
is is it's a listener? Is it a listener I know?
we can talk after the show. I'm not putting it in the show notes. All right.
Someone made a boo boo.
Yeah, it happens though, unfortunately.
I know. I've done it multiple times.
almost like for some people I've gathered, it's like they treat it like a luck charm. You ran from a Luma. Okay, that's great. That means you're going to run into more. It's definitely how it works.
Yeah.
That's 100%. It's a badge of honor,
Gotta wear it with pride.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the news. So the first thing we are going to tackle, as we always do, is going to be the weekly reset. And I've got a little picture up here. Once again, shout out to the Twitter channel Tim France. I believe it's ran by competitive player Neko Blocky, who creates these graphics every week for everyone for the resets. This
Really?
week, if you're listening to this on November 23rd through November 29th, for free Tim, we have 40 releases for a vigorous Liquat. I don't remember what that fruit does. I think it heals 40% of your HP.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we got 150 releases for 2 Wish You Well coins.
Oh man, 2 whole coins.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty good though. Like
Okay,
Wish You Well
okay.
coins are they interest me. You can get decent stuff out of them. Sure.
I like them. I like them.
Odds are against you, but come on. I mean, it's better than a lot of other items they could give you.
Yeah.
I
agree with
about
you.
the potential loot tables for those. Like some people I've talked to keep talking about like some of the fancy cosmetics coming out of those, but I haven't seen much evidence that suggests that outside of like maybe 1 or 2 screenshots. You guys have any more information on that?
I
never
don't
heard
either.
of that personally, but I mean, I got like a Luma Schween out of it, so anything can happen.
Yeah, for the Wish You Well coins, I actually really, really, really like and love this system. Just for every other week we've had resets, we've always had 4 Wish You Well coins, so it's just, I guess it's like a little interesting to like know we're gonna have weeks where we get 2 Wish You Well coins, where it's just like, aw, I want 4. Y'all give me 4 Wish You Well coins. No, I'm kidding, but we'll be all right. So the next thing we have is 300 releases for Vivid for a Vivid Violet die, and 430 releases for a telomere hack for speed. So yeah,
That
go ahead.
that feels like more of an incidental, oh, I kind of got here thing than like actually grinding for it. Like speed hacks are great, obviously, but one speed hack for 430 releases means I'm doing a radar or something like that to reach that, and I'm doing that for money or something else outside of, like, I'm not grinding free tem for free tem if I'm going up that high for one speed hack.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's kind of how I feel about free tim. Like, if I get bored enough this week where, like, I'm free timming for money, then, I'll probably get the Wish You Well coins or the die. I actually really like that color of die looking at it right now.
Yeah, Violet's a hard one to come by, too.
Yeah, but other than that, not like a super pressing week. Gaijin, did you have anything else you wanted to say on free tim?
I mean, no. Do it if you want.
Fair. Do you want to read the Park week, or do you want me to go through it?
Yeah, sure. So this week, the Park is going to cost you 3,100 Pansons and net you 6 cards. That seems a little expensive to me, but hey, your odds are, the Thames available are a Volvier with a 90% spawn rate, 3 times Luma odds, and a 10% egg technique, along with a 90% spawn Acronox with a 3 times Luma rate and a 10% egg technique as well. I think that the Thames this week are pretty good personally. I like both of these. I would advise going for the Volvier first. Acronox is kind of... It's really great looking, but it does not have a lot of value, and it does not have a lot of uses currently. I think it's a pretty good Tem, but...
Yeah, I leveled some Tims for Dumaga last week, and he gave me about 5 Tims to level, 2 breeding whatchamajiggers, 2 breeding God, what are those things? Smazzies? No, Smazzies, a Yowler, and a and 2 Momos to level, and he's like, just give me any collateral to hold on to so the bot doesn't flag us. And I traded him a Luma Acronox, and he's like, this is worthless. And I was like, it is. But
how can you call a glorious golden scorpion worthless?
It looks so
it looks so
the
good.
Yukama of Kasiwa, but like, ouch.
So see, here's the problem.
Go ahead.
I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it until it happens. I will this into existence. Earth must resist wind. And if Earth resisted wind, Acronox would be a wonderful Temtem.
Genuinely built a wind-resisting Acronox. I'll quickly just throw out there. You throw like 300 special defense and full HP on that boy, alongside a coat, and this grandpa's like, why am I not killing this thing? What's happening? And you're just like, I can't hear you over the fact that you're trapped. Late Torment, or whatever other thing you're doing to KO it. But it's an astonishing little tank if you spread it right.
Yeah, we'll talk about...
the Tem...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. The stats on it are really interesting, the way they have everything spread out. Like, originally, it's very versatile looking. But I still think Earth needs to resist wind. It just makes sense. They should resist each other.
I've gotten into pretty passionate debates with people on my stream about Acronox. For people listening, there are 2 ways you can build Acronox. Currently is like the big appealing ways. Obviously, you can build any Tim however you want. But you can go physical attacking Acronox, or you can go special attacking Acronox. One build specializes in like stinging as often as possible. The other build specializes in venom spreading after Ukama attacks with water cannon. And people have consistently in my stream called the venom spread build a noob trap because it looks a lot better on paper than it actually performs in games. But Club Wars, it was looking pretty fresh this weekend, and it just felt very vindicating of just like, hey guys, remember when all of you told me never suggest people to go special attacking Acronox for venom spread? Venom spread looking pretty vicious.
The biggest challenge with Acronox is using it effectively when there are so many things that resist poison at the moment. The fact that we have, like, first off, toxic Tems exist. They resist it. alongside Neutrality Barnshee, which is risen, alongside Chamomile,
As it should.
also risen in popularity.
For some reason, when you said Barnshee has risen, I just like my mind's like, wait, is it Easter? And
No, that's Nakiato. We're still waiting on him.
as far as Volvir goes, though, I actually I can't remember how Luma Volcrane looks in my head.
It's a Yoshi. It's green.
Oh, it is. I'm remembering now. Yeah, I kind of if I get extra time at the end of this week, I kind of want to go dink around for maybe like 2 hours and see what how my luck does on Volvir. Not like super invested on getting it, but I don't know. I like Fire Tims. I've always liked Fire Tims, and Volvir was not Volvir. Volcrane was the Fire Tim. Volcrane and Capire were the two I never got my hands on to play around with for my team back when, you know, Volcrane and Capire were the Fire Tims. Now, you know, of course, Raiken and Koish are so incredibly good. But I still would like to dilly-dally with them. I like the typing of what Fire Earth brings. And I don't know, would be cool to have like a little Luma one. But, you know, I'm not expecting it.
Would you say you have a burning desire?
It's more of like a simmering desire, like a lightly,
like
almost boiling desire.
With coveting for this, right?
Yeah, but that's the side part for this week. As far as the Koish for this week, Quarter, if you wanna like, it's only like one thing to say, but you can say that one on stream. I remember you were saying that you were having a love-hate relationship with fishing earlier.
I mean, yeah, I do have a love-hate relationship with fishing. I feel like a lot of people can relate with that. I kind of Stockholm was fishing a little bit because I just love fishing mechanics in a lot of games, and it's still fishing here. Either way, we got neutral Koish this week, which, as far as like, I can talk a little bit about its viability in comparison to other Koishes, because honestly, okay, while it's not top of the barrel like Fire Koish or Nature Koish or Electric Koish, it's still got some things going for it in the fact that it has access to stab harmful lick, which is stupid damage.
Yeah, 150 base damage with stab.
Oh, yeah. That's the first time we've had a stab with it, because outside of that, it's been kind of a lackluster move on a lot of the Tems that get it. Gulder gets it so it can slap fight other Gulders. Babu, I suppose, can have it to flex, but like, what else is running this?
Why doesn't Tataru have it?
I'll lick all over things.
Why doesn't Tataru have it? How often
I want to know why Tataru doesn't have it.
I mean, I'm more curious as to why Yowler or something like that doesn't have it. Give it that over Clinch. Make it even
Who's
more
Yowler?
Right?
Who's Yowler? Alex, what is Yowler for 900? But no, for Koish, one thing that I'll say, and I'll like just throw a little contribution into this conversation for all of the breeders out there. I think Koish is probably one of the safest bets. Neutral Koish is one of the safest bets for breeding if you are interested in breeding Koish. Because I think for the electric one and for the fire one, there are very specific ways you want to have it. And like for breeding the fire one, if you get iridescence, it's kind of like useless Pansun-wise. But if you're just going through like one of your first breeding projects and trying to make a little bit of money, there's no such thing as a bad neutral Koish. Iridescence is kind of amazing because it's the first like mental tank in the game. And then Synergy Master is also amazing for Quetzalino. And then running it with, you know, max speed stat is great because, you know, it's Koish. And running it with 1 speed stat, 9 speed stat, 7 speed stat is also okay because, you know, you're not going to be outspeeding many things anyways if you're running a harmful lick machine. So there's Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if there's any Koish that you could justify speed scuffing, it's neutral Koish. I don't know how viable that is, just because, I mean, you're not always going to be able to guarantee that you got your main man guys out. And unless you're running iridescent, you don't really want to be out against your main man guys. So, could be a little awkward there, but it's worth exploring, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for not butchering the guy's name.
This is what you're referencing.
Yeah, this is a place where we don't say Naga Issei.
Naga Issei.
Nah.
Oh, no.
All right, so yeah, that's the weekly reset. Overall, how do each of you feel about the reset? Is there any last like things you guys want to say before I move?
Quick tiny thing on the breeding subject. If you want a 100% safe investment for breeding, breed Barnshee. 100% right now. Breed Barnshee. It doesn't matter what trait it is. It is an incredibly powerful tem that features on like 7 out of 10 of the teams that I've seen. It is incredibly powerful right now and very easy to breed.
Yeah,
You can't go wrong with that female gender ratio.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Don't lose a breed. I can't stress how valuable that is.
God damn it! I keep getting gender locked.
Trust me, I got flashbacks, man. I bred Yowler once.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, I need a Yowler. It's on my list to go and get. Can I open this in a new tab? I don't think I can. All right, so let me go back to the regular thing, and we can jump to our next piece of news. Gaijin actually sent this one to me. It's a tweet and a reply to a tweet. Do you want to read it, Gaijin, or do you want me to?
Wait, which one?
No Sapanku on PS5
Oh,
release.
gotcha. Okay, sorry, you were talking about both of them. I don't. I spaced it for a second. Okay, yeah. So someone on Twitter, logically dumb, so close, but yet so far from Sipanku, which will happen on December 8th. Didn't even say maybe you aren't fooling anyone. And then Temtem says, hate to be that person, but Sipanku is 100% not coming out on December 8th, pal. I'm not going to lie. I also thought this, I did think that they would maybe release Sipanku the same time as they'd be releasing the PS5 early access. I thought it kind of just made sense. It seemed like it would be a good idea. Like it would get people hyped, get people back in the game. Not that, there's still a lot of people playing, just not nearly as there is when there's new releases. But so I don't know. I was honestly convinced that it was very likely that this was going to happen, but it's not. It's not.
I've got a lot to say on this one as an outsider, from an
Really?
outsider's perspective. Yeah, so
From a Gaijin's perspective.
no, from a Kennedy's perspective. I'm a huge fan of Minecraft.
Gaijin means outsider in Japanese.
Oh,
so.
I didn't know that. Yeah, from a Gaijin's perspective. Yeah. I'm a huge Minecraft fan, and anybody who knows Minecraft, Microsoft bought it. It gets like thousands of dollars funneled into its development from Microsoft, and they can pretty much do whatever they want with that. It's going to live forever. Thousands, millions,
just
et cetera,
thousands of
et cetera.
dollars funneled. I mean, what's a couple of zeros, right?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars is still thousands of dollars, etc. They get at least $5 from Microsoft. They get at least
bare
$5.
minimum.
Yeah,
bare minimum.
But anyways, it was
We all know that they're just rolling in those sweet Minecraft ducats, right?
yeah.
$5 in stock options. That's all it is.
But just 2 patches ago, they just started doing simultaneous development across all of their platforms because Minecraft's on so many systems. Just with the Pillage and Village update, or was it? I think it was the Village and Pillage one. Yeah, they released it simultaneously for Xbox, PS4, PC edition, everything at the same time. Whereas normally it's always been released for the PC, patch for the later systems comes out later. And with Temtem being released on PS5, simultaneous development is something like Krema's tackling because it's like there's going to be cross-play. When we get updated on the PC, the PS5 has to be updated too. And I think this, for me, I don't know, an outsider's perspective, I think this is a hard area of game development to do this. So whereas I saw like the release on PS5, I thought they were going to release it, try and bug fix everything, and try testing out simultaneous releases on the PS5 and the PC edition, and then after they get like a few bug fixing things done, then try and push Sapanku to both of them. But I think it'd be super wild to have the PS5 version release, all the bugs that that's going to introduce, and then try and at the very same time introduce Sapanku. It's just like, what game?
Yeah.
Miracle that we even log in. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that'd be pretty nightmarish. There's merit to what you say, though. I recall some people I've talked to or in backers chat have said something to the tune of exactly what you suggested, which is that they're trying to put a lot of focus on their December the 8th release for the PS5 to ensure that further releases like that are smoother in comparison. So like they're planning on putting the same effort that they put in for the release in terms of like immediate receptive bug fixing for that element, because obviously that's going to be a massive thorn in their side if they're not able to sort of nail that down. On that subject, though, with the Sipanka release, I've heard some suggestions that it's going to go as far back as January because of how it's working inside the development cycle. So the fact that like we've had 2 COVID-19 sort of lockdowns in Spain has knocked back Spain like significantly, or at least Crema significantly in terms of its work cycle, right? Which means that like if we look at the sort of, we don't have the roadmap, do we? Do we have like the roadmap around?
Oh, I can pull it up,
Yeah.
but
I'm so
yeah.
unprepared.
yeah.
We can get one. Yeah, what the heck, Quarter? Jeez.
I know, right?
I gave you the notes
And,
document
I mean,
last
so-
week. Why did you put it on there, Quarter?
Technically, like, you know, we've got until December 21st is when winter starts. That's winter. That is technically winter. I
Mhm.
mean, so they have until then to still be in line with the roadmap, but honestly, I don't suspect that we'll see it. I was hoping it was hope that, you know, the extra funding from Sony, because obviously there was some exchange of something for this early access exclusively on PlayStation. So I was hoping maybe some help in terms of development, maybe from Sony in some way, or something might have helped. But you know, I now seeing that, I'm pretty sure we're not going to get it until end of December, sometime mid January.
Well,
For
my other sneaky thought here is like the anniversary of Temtem is what, 25th of January. That feels like a
Yeah.
really like high profile time to launch a patch would be all that I would suggest there. I have nothing to support this outside of my own conjecture, but like we've already gone a little off piste from the initial sort of things right here, right? Because we got the quest diary that happened alongside dailies and weeklies, which weren't projected until like what, spring 2021.
yeah.
Yes.
Like we got a whole mess of things there. So we're already like a little sort of deviating from this pattern to begin with. But it just struck me as the sort of thing that would fit well with their existing sort of pattern of development, and the fact that that date is very conveniently close to the projected release time of that patch. It's like, you know, were I a betting man, I'd be like, maybe they capitalize on that to sort of once again draw attention to their game in like points of demand like that.
I people will be very pissed if Sipanku does not launch until January 21st.
I think people would be like a little bit angry, but on that, I think it's a very, very, very minor amount of the player base of like maybe what, 5%,
But
7% of the player base has experienced everything this patch has to offer, or everything, you know, the game has to offer. Like who's tell me the person who has all the Lumas they want, you know, has their house looking exactly like they want it to, and has tried every combination of, you know, PvP teams that they wanted to try with every variation of 10 building in and out of that. Because it's like, for me, when I really want new content for the game, but I've barely touched housing. You know, I've got like 5 teams I want to build that I haven't even touched yet on the PvP ladder. And there's still other things that keep drawing my attention in game. So it's like, I want new content, but I still got a lot to go through. Like, they've still been developing faster than I've been able to like chew through the
But
stuff
a lot
they
of
put
the
out.
content you're interested in may not be a lot of the content that most people are interested in either.
That's fair.
Like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Most people play these games to do the story, catch the monsters they like, maybe find a shiny, and then that's that.
Yep.
Um,
There's nothing wrong with approaching the game that way either. I know a lot of people who have just been taking breaks inside this period until such times as either it's released or when
mhm.
Sipanku comes out or what have you, and that's fine. There's no right way to play Temtem. If you're here for the long haul and you're here like doing a bunch of the late game activities and grinding it out and doing PvP, that's fantastic. But if you're just here to have a good time, chill with some friends of yours, and like catch a bunch of monsters while going through story and co-oping with people, that's fine too.
I'm
What's
not here
important
to
is
make
enjoying
friends.
yourself inside this.
I'm here to win. I'm kidding. But yeah, I agree with those points. So just in summary, Sipanku's not coming out in December 8th. We haven't gotten any like official projections of Sipanku, but we're all speculating around January-ish. So
Yeah, no later than January 21st, most likely. I mean, for most of us, that's still winter.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, different parts of the world, that's not true, but I think it's still
I
winter
don't know.
in
It's hard
Spain.
to not frame January as winter. Like you have a pretty permissive calendar, like have it be lunar or something like that for that to work.
Tell that to Australia. I know there's a pretty
okay,
big
okay.
Australian player base.
Well
RG
played.
Isosceles is probably just like looking on in anger at this.
Oh
It's-
god,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get so many DMs.
It's summer. No, I'm kidding. All right, so
Oh,
let's jump into the next piece of news. So, little bit of a precursor to this news quarter. Gaijin and I talked about it off stream, and we promised to be civil. I have opinions about this post, and I'll try and address those in the most professional manner.
No, I mean it's totally fine to respond. Like
Yeah.
they posted it publicly. They wanted they wanted to share their opinions. If you're posting something publicly on a social media site such as Reddit,
Which
the
Gaijin Boo
Temtem
moderates
forums,
now.
Twitter, I do actually. Yeah. I'm now a Temtem Reddit mod. But
Congratulations.
thanks. You're expecting a response. Most of these people probably don't care about the responses that don't align with their opinions anyway, but it's perfectly fine to critique these and share your opinion about it. So, it's not like you're going to sit here and rip this person apart.
All right, so just a quick summary of this post. The reason why we picked it out is because y'all responded to it, and the information y'all gave was pretty insightful. But the title of the post is "I don't think I'm excited for Sipanku," and it goes through and talks about the decision making involved in designing like the state of the game and how unfortunate the evolution system is currently. In the way the evolution system works is Tim's level up from when you catch them, or when you acquire them, not when you catch them. Whenever you acquire them, they take X amount of levels, and then when they get those levels, they level up. And this person said it was
Well, acquire is not the right term.
I mean, imagine
Catching is the correct.
Well,
Catching
I
or
mean,
breeding,
even
because
as an
if you're traded a Temtem, it does not evolve from
okay.
X amount of levels.
Fair,
That's
fair.
technically acquiring. So
Yeah,
True.
when it is hatched or when it is,
or if you steal them,
yeah. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so the general idea was that the fun part about this game is going through the game and having your team grow and change as you encounter new monsters. And that Temtem doesn't give you the ability to do that because the things you encounter have no chance of leveling up. I think that was complete mumbo jumbo just because I went through and I posted this list to Gaijin and I can read it on stream right now. Every island has had like a half dozen or more Tims that you can just catch and use immediately on your team. Every Tim and Dennis, if you encounter it, you can catch and use it on your team. Yep. Loali, Volur on Amnesia, Kinu on Amnesia. Volarin, Adoraboros, Zephyroth, Calibus, Valash, Shuin, Whiplump, Ukama, all on
Yep.
Tukma. And then, Volfi, Zazair on Kisawa. Unfortunately, Kiri and Goaty, you have to go back and breed.
I mean, Acronox hits that list as well. So does Rolder. A lot of the 5%ers do. Momo, there's another
Yeah,
great example.
exactly. So I thought the basis for this post was off. But y'all actually took the time to respond and why they decided to do the Tims like this. Gaijin, I'm going to try and paraphrase it. If you have it in mind and you want to paraphrase, or Quarter, if you have it in mind, you guys want to try, I'm going to try and put it quickly, but if you guys want to take a crack at it, I don't want to just like talk forever.
No, feel free.
Okay. So,
I can't paraphrase anything for the life of me.
so
I'm naturally long-winded. So.
So Yaw responds and he says the reason why they chose this, they tried both they've tried both an option above this and below this, where they've put more evolved Tims as options for people to catch on the island to use the more effective Tims on their team as they encounter them. And he said, as a result, what has happened is that people generally ignore everything else on the island, and it kind of invalidates the rest of the grass patches and the rest of the spawns on the island. They've tried putting lower level evolutions on the island, and then you get into situations like this, where people feel like they catch like a level 50 goatee, well, not 50 but like 38 goatee or 40 goatee, and there's no opportunity for them to like really use it through the storyline. And the current system of putting partially evolved and unevolved Tims on the island, and the Tims leveling up in an appropriate amount of time through that island, is a mixture of both of these, and he feels it's the best option, and they've talked about it a lot in their internal team. And that was kind of where I put this post down. I don't know if there was any more that you guys wanted to discuss on it.
Well, I mean, one thing that I think is important to point out is one of the last points Yaw made, which I think is a pretty prescient one, which is the fact that this is only really going to be a problem as long as we're in early access. Once we get to level 100, you're going to be able to force evolve your Tems from there, as Yaw said, like, horse's mouth. And then, we're just going to be able to get our dudes up. So this is only a problem insofar as our current runs are impeded by it, right? Like, it's not excessively hard to YOLO breed a single Tem with some other thing and then just use the baby. I know a lot of people are frustrated by that because they want to catch the thing they catch. And speaking as an avid Nuzlocker in other games, I can sympathize with that. Like it is jarring and it takes you out of the immersion if you got to go and use, I don't know, Kerfuffle Jr. or whatever you called it, right? Like it's a frustrating thing. It breaks your immersion, but it's also part and parcel with the fact that this is an early access game and we do have certain things that are just not quite there yet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what else is annoying? I've played enough Pokemon to know that sometimes you catch a Pokemon and as soon as you catch it, you do one battle and boom, it evolves and you hardly get to use even that evolution at all. Like, I
Any bug
personally
type.
yeah, pretty much. I love the way, excuse me, that this is set up. I like the idea that there's set levels. And, a couple people had posted something about a hard cap, like, oh, maybe just 18 levels. No, why? Like, does everything have to be easy? Do you not have to work for anything? Like, come on. Like, it's not a huge deal. And let's not forget, it's an early access game. And you're not playing with the full deck. I mean, once the game's fully released, there's not going to be an issue with catching Tems that aren't evolvable.
Yep.
Like, people keep seeming to forget this, and it's funny because the author writes it's an early access game earlier and is talking about the end game economy and how things are kind of in a bad state, and then goes on to state, well, it's not really end game because that's not released yet. Surprise! Weird. Oh man.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
One thing if there's only one little sort of nugget of sort of qualm, problem, whatever you want to call it, that I have with the current sort of system of evolution, which is the fact that we do not have a recorded sort of level met on the card of the 10 that we got.
Oh, that would be really cool.
I would genuinely appreciate that. It's a small quality of life feature that solves a lot of people's problems when you've had like that one TEM that you forgot about in your PC. And it's like, when the hell is this guy going to evolve anyway? When did I catch this guy at? Like, you're not always going to remember that. I mean, it's kind of silly to want to write that down somewhere else. It'd be a really easy thing to solve.
Wait, I don't know what you're complaining about. Don't you just put the level you catch your Temtem in its name when you catch it?
Ah, yes. I love level 52. He's my favorite.
Yeah. And so I'll address this to chat because I was going to type it, but it's worth stating for the podcast. There's a lot of very difficult to absorb opinions in this post, and we had a little bit of discussion internally of if we included, and ultimately we decided it was worth the discussion. So that's why we're talking about it.
There's always a certain amount of managing your expectations that people seem to forget about this game, or really any early access game. Like they I don't know, they just expect everything when everything's not there. Like, I just bought this IKEA thing from IKEA and I brought it home and it's not built. Why? Like, I mean, you have to understand that things aren't always going to work the way you want them to because the systems aren't in place for them to do that yet.
Yeah, and I don't know. I said my piece on it too, and I find myself like just agreeing with you guys. Is there anything else you want to say on it before I move us forward? Because I don't want to just.
I think that's a reasonable summary of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
go ahead.
Everybody feel free to share your opinions always. Just expect other people to dissect them.
Yeah, which I agree with. That's what we try and do here on Temtalk. We give everything a fair look over and we respond to it earnestly. We try our best to be polite, but we're not always the most polite, but we're earnest and we're sincere and we try and say things in a constructive manner.
We're not going to tear people down.
Yeah.
Sure, they may be bad opinions, but
Gaijin, can I season my food with that sass? It's spicy.
Look, at least we're not sitting here calling anybody delusional,
Yeah.
Debatable. I've been calling you delusional since we started, Quarter.
Let's see. The next piece of news we have on our list. I didn't add this note, but I guess I'll read it out loud. Delayed development schedule due to COVID-19.
Oh, sorry, no, that was in response to the little thing there.
Oh, okay, cool beans.
The Ponka bit.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we already covered that. So
exactly.
I'm gonna move on to the next little piece of. We have our community highlights and tournaments. So how we are doing this section, if you have watched Temtem in the past and you've been a fan, we've tried to comb through as many aspects of the community as we can, participate everywhere we possibly can to make sure this segment was as juicy as it possibly could be for everyone, but that was a lot of effort on us. So instead, we've rolled it back to only the things we either paid in or the things people send us and want covered. And I didn't personally watch any tournaments other than Club Wars this past week. So I don't think there were any other major tournaments, but Quarter, you did bring up
French Koish Cup as well. That was just this past week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Quarter, you brought up this tournament here, the Slicks one. Let's talk about this first, and then I want you to bring that one back up because I'm unfamiliar with the one you just brought. But yeah, talk about Slicks tournament because you were describing it to me, and then we'll discuss it a little more.
First off, this is visible in the community events section of the main Temtem Discord for anybody in the know there. But basically, Slicks is setting up a continental Temtem Masters tournament for basically every other time zone. It's cutting the Gordian knot of the problem of, oh no, how do I get all the players I want in the time zones that I want, which are all of them. Answer is just have 4 different tournaments, right? The Battlefy links are all there, and there is a 150,000 Pansun prize pool. It should be pretty interesting getting a spot in for that. It is from the 14th to the 17th of December, different day for each event. Hope to see people there, eh?
Yeah, and I'll share the link into the Twitch chat, and then if I remember, I'll also try and put it in the YouTube show notes. I don't put a lot of notes into the RSS feed because it all goes as a paragraph, and it's really weird to read links.
Oh, also, quick thing from an anonymous tip. If anyone here is interested in setting up if anybody's in a club that's looking on PvP, especially club wars sort of environments, we are currently setting up a minor league that needs one more club. Contact Matt Gia and give him your club's information. We need more members in that.
Yeah, so real quick on that then, because this is going to go out so many places, what's the best way to contact Matt Gia? Is it email, Discord? I don't know other ways to contact people. Twitter?
Yeah, I believe Discord is going to be a pretty easy one for him. I mean, he's Senior Plat on Discord, not too hard to find.
Okay.
Drop your information. There's a couple other people too. Myself as well. 1/4 Power on Discord. Drop me a line if you got things to know about that.
I'm pretty hyped for the next season of Club Wars, though. Friend of the show, Miller's, her club's going to be competing in Club Wars, and then hopefully we get again and we get Transcend again. And
I'm really excited to see that.
Are you serious? You didn't even mention Asylum?
Well, I mean, yeah,
Which
we're going to have
clearly
Asylum.
the most important here.
We're going to
let's
have
be honest.
Asylum, too.
Asylum. Rorzy. Oh,
okay. Miller's just corrected. Her club is competing in the minor league, not the big one. But I mean, after you guys take the minor league, then when season 3 of Club Wars starts, there you go. Just come back as returning champions.
There you go.
All right.
Just rise up.
You said there was a Koish Cup that happened with the exotic French players.
Okay, so that was genuinely just a tournament run by a completely separate French entity. They're called like the French Temtem players or something like that, where the stipulation was basically you had a Koish in your team. I believe it was something like a 200,000 Pansun prize pool. It was a pretty interesting tournament. Important to, once again, just if anyone's interested in tournaments like these, oftentimes they are announced and set up inside the community events section of the Temtem Discord. And you get little gems like that, where you get like fun little team building exercises, like Plus's Nidrasil Cup. That was
cool. Yeah. Update on that. So I didn't catch this match. One of the fortunate things about live streaming this show, we get chat to help participate with us. I was just informed so we talked about it last week. The Nidrasil Cup actually ended in a 2-2 draw, and they were rescheduling the final match. That match did get scheduled, and unfortunately, again, friend of the show, RG Isosceles and his team, I think Arkham Knight, RG Isosceles, and Zuxo were on it, and they ended up losing, which meant that Mr. Rishi's team, I forgot who Mr. Rishi was playing with, would have... Wobbles was the third. Okay. Yeah, which means Mr. Rishi is and his team would be the champions of the the Nidrasil Cup. So...
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Early, or rather not early, late, congratulations. All right.
Better late than never.
I refuse to congratulate anybody that beats Isosceles.
Oh, man. Boo letting his loyalties be clear.
I mean, Gaijin Boo, not gonna reference anything happening in real life, but Gaijin Boo refuses to concede the results of up, and let's get a rematch going, and then that will determine it. So All right, let's move on to our listener question. If we take questions from anybody in the community who wants to write into us, you can message either Gaijin or myself on Discord, or you can tweet us. But the easiest way to write into the show is temtalkshow@gmail.com. And that's temtalkshow@gmail.com. If you send anything to that email, I check it about 2 or 3 times a week when I'm going over the show notes, and I put stuff in there. Our listener question today actually comes from somebody in chat, and if I was, I think their name was Pichu.
It was Pichu.
Yeah, okay, Pichu. Or Pichu. And they ask, how do you guys feel about tips for newbies? I've been running into conflicting points of view about how to offer tips to newer players. This is something that I specialize in, but I don't want to dominate this conversation, so I'm going to let either of you take this one first.
Well, in terms of tips for newbies, I mean, one of the things about it is there can be a lot of too many cooks sort of environments in many competitive channels for that. Like, I'm very much of the mindset. Okay, so one of the people that helped get me into competitive was certain Vasi, and one of the things that he adheres to that I agree with is just ignore the immediate insecurities of learning how to do comp and just throw yourself into game after game and learn something from each of those games. Another person that I tried to like get things from that out of was like Argyrotoxis, another person very active in the Discord, for instance, who takes active notes off of each game. He like checks his draft, checks what he did in the match, tries to identify if he lost, how he lost.
Could I pause you, Quarter? I think this is good advice, and I'll let you continue if you want to go on this street, but I'm going to push you back to the question. I believe
thank you for putting me back on topic.
Yeah, I believe the listener is asking not what advice you give to newbies, but what's your philosophy when you give advice to new players of like how you should give the advice. Do you tell them this is right, or do you encourage experimentation? Like, how do you guys feel about giving tips for newbies? I think it's like the whole mentality rather than actual advice.
You got to teach a person to fish rather than just say this is the spread that works most of the time. I mean, obviously that varies from person to person. And one of the challenges of teaching people is that you don't know how a person learns until you try to teach them most of the time, unless you're just being super upfront. But people often get weird about that, or just don't know, right? Like if you don't know how you learn well, then you're not going to be able to tell people. So a lot of times it's sort of experimentation on both sides, trying to figure out how best to get other people into it. That can also just be a motivation thing. There's all sorts of things that go into that. Oftentimes, though, I feel like the worst advice that I see is advice that's just very dismissive of alternative views. Like I see some people that get very hardline and don't necessarily expand on their point specifically well, or like just say this is it. Why would you even consider going for something else? Calibus, who uses Calibus?
I remember everyone. I'm gonna jump in right there though, and I'm gonna agree with that point. But I will say the only advice that it's okay to dismiss is Rarzy's crazy max speed grumper builds. Don't do that. No, I'm kidding.
I actually
why? Because you're afraid.
I am afraid. I'm afraid of Rarzy's grumpers. But no, I'm gonna jump in right there and say, as far as like giving advice of how to give advice for new players, this was something I was trying to be like super conscious of the academy, and the strategy that I came down to, and so far it's been pretty effective. We'll see in the future if it continues to be effective, is I have said there are basic problems and obstacles you encounter when you play Temtem. Those problems and those obstacles are omnipresent no matter who you are, what team you are playing. The reason there are metas, the reason there are Tims that are highly picked and suggested, is because they answer those problems pretty easily. And that's not to say you have to use those TIMs. No matter what you do, at the end of the day, you have to answer those problems of how do you either survive to turn 30 or how do you knock out your opponent's TIMs in order to, win this game. And then over and beyond that, all the problems that, the quote unquote meta introduces. And your team doesn't have to be, the meta team, but your team and your decisions and everything that you do at some point does need to answer the common obstacles that Tim matches present. So when I when I give advice to new players, I say this is the building blocks, this is the fundamentals, this is the flow of the game. And once you understand that, these are Legos. Put them together in any way you want to build the structure that, or the better example is I give advice in the forms of tools of your TV spreads is a screwdriver in your toolkit. The TIMs you choose to build are the strategy you bring is your hammer, and you don't have to use every single tool in your toolkit, but equipping people with the tools to build the thing that they want to build is going to be more effective than just handing somebody of like, here's a ship in a bottle. And it's just like, okay, well, this is cool. And like, well, what if I want something else? It's like, well, you don't understand anything. So
then you pull an Andy Dwyer
inside that. Like, especially since Imagine Boo here's just gotten a ship in a bottle. There's nothing wrong with getting a bespoke team that's been set up that you've been talked through, and then learning how to play that, and then making tiny adjustments to that over time. Being like, you know what, I don't like Mooflank or I don't like Scunch. I want to replace that with a Tataru or something. Like you go for that.
But that's a different boat, and it's funny that I say that because I just use a ship in the bottle metaphor. That's a different boat for Gaijin Buu because I think that that's a more comprehensive wraparound where it wasn't just like, here's a team, good luck. Like Gaijin and Tsubaki are talking, they're going to be coaching, they're going to be talking through it of like why you do this. And I've watched Tsubaki's streams. Like Tsubaki's came on the show, friend of the show. Tsubaki is really good about this, and I've scrimmed Tsubaki, and the best thing about Tsubaki is when he kicks your butt, he doesn't just say like, that was the wrong move, you should have did this or this or this. Like when he kicks your butt, he's like, why did you do that? And it's like, well, this is what I was thinking. It's like, okay, it's good that you are thinking that, but here's some other options for that might have been more effective in that situation.
That is the best way to debrief. That's really good.
So I say when you give advice, don't just give the what, but give the why. Like if you teach people the why, I think they're going to be so much better off and so much more invested than just like, what Tim should I put on my team? Scunch, Yowler, Momo, Nagai's, Tuvine, and Raiken Gulder. And it's just like, why? Just do it. And it's like, okay, loses every game.
I mean, it can be hard fully explaining that in sometimes, the storms of certain chats where that happens. Like, it can be hard to follow that along. It can also be hard to, like, impart that effect. Like, especially if somebody's just getting in, it's a massive info dump, right? If I'm going to go through, like, an entire team in a single night, it's going to be like, oh boy. How am I going to digest all of this, Quada?
Gaijin, I know you, I know we've been talking about this from a PvP stance, but I think you have a lot of experience in this because, like, I always see you talking to new players of, like, persuading people to buy the game or pick it up. And then there's so many other areas of the game that, I don't even think Quarter or I not comprehend, but consider. Is there any way you would think about this question of giving tips to newbies for, like, new people tackling breeding or Luma hunting or going through the story or Nuzlocke or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it generally is probably tackled in a lot of the same sense. And, I think maybe with other stuff outside of, because I know that, PvP requires a lot of, there's a lot more in-depth information that needs to be shared when it comes to why something's not working, why you should be doing something differently, and stuff like that. But when it comes down to regular game stuff like where to go free tem, or what's the best strategy for breeding, or the best strategy for luma hunting radars,
Mm-hmm.
there's it's a lot less information, and I think that's good. It makes it a lot easier to just tell people. And obviously, there's conflicting opinions on some of that stuff, but most of it's pretty much the same. A lot of what I know I've learned not from playing the game, but from the community. And
That's really nice.
I am terrible at retaining information that I find, but when people parrot me information over and over, it works really well for me. Um,
Maybe the best advice wasn't the advice we were given, but the friends we made along the way.
Boom, done. No, I mean, I think the best way to give information is just, try not to overload people. Some people have a really hard time with that. Obviously, if they keep asking questions, perfect. But try to be concise, informative, helpful, pleasant, and like Kennedy said, not dismissive of a lot of stuff, or negative about people's thoughts or questions. There can be some kind of annoying questions that people could just Google, but they're not going to, and that's why they're asking you. So try your best to be pleasant. Try not to get frustrated, and just be nice and whatnot.
All right. We are going to jump into our main topic. All right. So, Club Wars, the finals just happened this past weekend. PDX went against Enigma, or it was Enigma versus PDX, or no, it was PDX versus Enigma. I have the scores backwards. PDX won 5 knockouts to Enigma's 2. And they are the champions of season 2 of Club Wars. Is there anything you want to say right now, Quarter?
I'm really glad actually that we had the opportunity to do it against Enigma. Like, generally, like Enigma and Paradox have always had really good matches into each other. Like, consistently, it's been high level games where there's been genuinely, it's never felt very one sided when I'm spectating, or like in the 5-head in those matches. It's like we really have to stay on our toes. Enigma does not mess around, and it feels like that's a mutual thing. Like Heron always brings something incredibly spicy that is tacked very heavily against us. Gold and Kanzaki come in with very heavy hitting compositions, and the Great Wall at Tsubaki is always something we have to climb. We did have some, like, one of the things I'm excited about is being able to, like, let loose some of the secret sauce that we did have up our sleeves for some of those, and unpacking a bit of how different it is inside a tournament like Club Wars, where you've got so many people that are behind the scenes helping people out with plays, and how different that is from a standard tournament or even ladder.
Yeah, so I'll just let everybody know. I watched a couple of the opening turns of the first match. And then I watched the last 2 matches, which I think was Kanzaki. I think it was Kanzaki versus was it Vasi?
Yeah.
And then I watched Tsubaki versus, I think it was Vasi too.
Shiro first. It was Shiro.
Oh,
and
Shiro.
then
Shiro.
into
Yeah. And I remember one of the distinct thoughts that I had remembered. I'm pretty sure inside of Enigma, and I always get this screwed up because Bennett and Kanzaki change their names back and forth. Kanzaki will
yes.
wear Bennett's name, and Bennett will, and you 2 members of Enigma will wear each other's names.
Yep.
But one of them at one point introduced me to the idea of Venom Spreader Acronox, and I was pretty sure it was Kanzaki. And
it was Bennett.
Oh, okay, it was
100.
Okay, it was Bennett
Acronox
then. He must have been wearing Kanzaki's name at the time.
He
But I
actually
remember.
talked to me afterwards saying he wished he was in that call. because he was going to let Kanzaki know that that was definitely something he needed to be afraid of.
Yeah, and Vasi definitely ran away, or rather, I don't remember who was playing who, but yeah. Kanzaki had a game, ran away from him with the Venom Spreader Aquanox, and I was like, no, we have all this info within our ranks. It didn't get communicated.
It can be really frustrating getting that information there, though. That's why one of the things I actually want to give a shout out for are the number of people that were behind the scenes on our side. It's really valuable having a number of separate people giving you information about the plays that you're making. It is also a really hard thing to juggle in that environment. Our first Club Wars round, we did not understand how to make that work effectively, and it almost killed us. Genuinely, Shiro, Alto, a bunch of the heavy hitters had a serious problem with too many people trying to talk and make the plays and tell people, no, you need to cage now, or whatever it was, because too many cooks does spoil the broth, and that's definitely something that happens inside there. Being able to balance having all of that information available to you versus having one person drive is not an easy thing to do. One of the ways that this actually impacted play for both sides is, for instance, in the Shiro versus Tsubaki match. One of the things that happened is we had our Nagais out, and it was up against a Grumper. Now, Grumpers generally are run at 39 speed, for those who don't know this, because it's the speed where you need to underspeed a 9-speed Nagais, which is the standard because it underspeeds a bunch of other things, because Decidora is a wonderful, wonderful thing that's very confusing in practice. But the important thing is Grumper goes before that Nagais. We were like, oh, he's going to totally double it. Well, okay. A couple people on our side were like, oh, he's totally going to buff his ally because he plays stall, and that's just what's going to happen. And Shiro and Platt in particular stuck to that, partially for the mind game of making sure we committed to attacking into that, but also because it's what they knew Tsubaki would do. Entertainingly, the Thunderstrike did happen, and we kind of all thought it was a weird play for our side to commit to that. But we found out afterwards that Platt was right. Tsubaki did want to do that. And in fact, that was the right call. But he got talked out of it by his side. Which is an important thing to remember when you're playing this kind of a tournament. The fact that you've got that kind of a talk happening on both sides means you're not just playing the player, you're playing the team.
This is something I try very hard to teach with the academy. So anybody who enters into the academy and does matches, they do matches as a best of 3 situation, because it's very different from playing on ladder than playing against a person. When you learn the person and you learn their thoughts, their patterns, and their team, because and this is something you and I were talking about right before the show, where I watched this game on Saber's stream, Saber Twitch TV, and she was casting it with Tut Pup. And the very final game, the band, whoever was playing against Tsubaki,
that was Platt, actually.
It was Platt playing against Tsubaki.
Yep.
But yeah, the very final game, they banned out Tsubaki-chan's Saku. And I remember Tut Pup saying, like, you know, in terms of the things Tsubaki had on their team and what Tsubaki's team was capable of, the Saku was the wrong ban and not the most effective pick. But the other player had the mindfulness to be aware of how well Tsubaki plays with the Saku and how well Tsubaki is able to cover the gaps of their team with as a player and his play style and his decision making with that Saku, that Saku ban ended up really, really hurting, and not having access to it that last match, you know, I think really cost Tsubaki like a lot of momentum for that match. And that's just one of the things of like when you're playing in these types of environments, when you have the opportunity to just like learn your opponent, you know, you can say like, okay, my opponent has a and this is a super extreme example, but has a Volarin and a Taifu on their team, right? Their whole team is built around their Taifu, but Volarin's the more effective Tim. I should ban Volarin because it's the more effective Tim, but it's like, no, if I remove this element of their strategy, they have to rearrange in a whole different way for their team that now no longer functions super properly. That's like, sure, I have to fight down a Volarin now, but also I've thrown my opponent off their game. And in like these big situations, that could be so much more like, I guess, deadly and detrimental than just like, oh, I banned Volarin.
Oh, for sure. Blatz put his reasoning entertainingly in stream chat as to why he made that particular ban. But additionally, this is also helped by the fact one of the challenges going up against a lot of stall compositions right now is the fact that you have to balance not only the fact that you're running against stalls, that's all your salad boys, that's your Kinu, your Volfi, your Cerny, your Saku, but also the Naga Guldur combo, which you've left unmolested, has the incredible ability to slow down any momentum that you gain as a hyper offensive player if you aren't prepared for it. It can be very, very challenging to deal with. So suddenly having your speed inverted means all those Quetzalenios just don't do a dang thing. They go last and you're very sad. So having a response to both of those is really important. So it can be really challenging trying to ban out the Guldur, and then, oh no, you've let all those nature lads through now. You're in for a real slow game because all those revits are going to be going off, and Kinu's got all of his friends out, and probably that Grumper that's on this team too, maybe. Getting all those stone walls in. So either you let them have that, or you're dealing with the Naga Guldur combo, at which point, hey, that's a free madness buff. You're getting swept now.
All right, who'd you tell Magia to put drill on? Who was holding the drill?
Okay, so this is an argument for a while there, and the main one has been okay. Well, quick question: Am I allowed to break this? Am I allowed to break this? I'll wait for explicit promotion.
I was joking, by the way. You don't have to like give Magia strats. I know.
Called my bluff.
For those interested, by the way, in Magia's reasoning, Magia says Saku is more threatening to my team. I needed it gone because I win the stall matchup if Saku doesn't exist. He can have as many Kinu buffs as he wants, but as long as Saku's gone, I win.
Yeah. I know personally for myself, though, I run Drill 2 Vine. It's one of my favorite things to do just because it gives me the instant safety on the ladder if I ever see the Nagai's Guldur combo where it's just like, yep, don't outspeed the Guldur, but that Nagai's is not madness buffing, and if it does, it's dying.
That's right. Shiro actually was the one with the drill. He had Drill 2 Vine.
Oh,
very unafraid of the Naguldur matchup because of that.
Yeah, I also lost 2 games in a row to Tsubaki running Drill 2 Vine, so...
Yeah, no, Drill 2 Vine is a hell of a thing. I've seen some people try Drill Guldur as well. That one's been really interesting because in the Guldur versus Guldur matchup, it's going to probably, like, speed tie isn't a bad thing to try to do against another Guldur. Like, yeah. It's reasonable is all I'm getting at there. Drill Calibus is another weird one, and Drill Drasil is another good one.
Drill Drasil?
Hell yeah. Drill Sil, it's hard getting a good portmanteau in there,
That's fair. All right, so let's go on to, I think you put this question in the notes. What happens next? What changes people might want to see in Club Wars going forward and other engaging factors for PvP clubs? I think that's a good question because I know before we were partnered with Temporium with Club Wars, and so I had a lot of insight to what they were thinking for Club Wars and when they were deciding to run it and how they were deciding to do the seasons. And this is like really community oriented. So last time when we finished season 1, they made a big post and was just like, hey, like this post for when you want the next Club Wars to start. And then also if you want anything, post it like below. So I think that's a good discussion now kind of for us here because I didn't see anything like that, but also I don't like browse every inch of the Club Wars channel.
Yeah, that's fair. It can be a very weird place to navigate, and it's not always the most easily updated thing. But one of the sort of things involving that is the fact that the price... Okay, I want to preface, this is not meant to badmouth anybody here. This is just me describing things as they are. honest, 100%. So one of the things involving Club Wars is that the prize pool comparative to other tournaments is actually astonishingly low once you divide it between all the players that play.
What are you? Hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm gonna pause
Glory.
you right there, Quarter. I made a ridiculous amount of Pansons from Club Wars. I paid 10K in entry fees to play for Enigma, and I made 10,420 Pansons today, paid out by my club
420?
leader. Yep, I'm rich.
Dog.
I can't fight with the weed number, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
No, I'm kidding. I feel you on that. Like, we came in second place and our club got like 250,000 Pansons. It's just like, I guess we get our entry fees back. Well, and of course, the people who participated more got a little bit more Pansons.
Oh, for sure. We're doing a similar thing for subdividing between sort of people who contributed on our side. But the thing that, the thing I suppose I'm getting at there is that it's something that is mostly done for glory rather than the immediate prize. But there's
Yeah.
ways that could potentially be changed in the future. And that'd be an interesting thing to explore in terms of, even if you don't have necessarily a liquid Pansun amount there, one of the things I'd like to see more tournaments do perhaps is look into maybe egg techniques or interesting cosmetics, or furniture options as potential prizes. Like if I'm doing a tournament and I see, like, I don't know, 8th place gets a cool chair, I'd still be into that.
7th place, Gaijin Buu reads you a bedtime story.
I like it.
I'd be into that. You know what? Sure.
Yeah. Chat just said make it a 10 mil plus prize pool or no guts. But that's a lot of money. As somebody who's trying to currently like raise money and pay out like a tournament, it takes work to get those entry fees up there. Shout out to Plus OP for always being able to like fund spectacular tournaments, because it ain't easy.
It is not, man. I mean, I've been playing this game for over 2,000 hours at this point, and I have the most money I've ever had in my entire Temtem career, and I'm like still under 1 million Pansons.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you give them all away, it's hard. I mean, I've probably given away like 25 million worth of Tems. Like,
That's impressive.
All right.
One of the reasons why I think that it's important for, especially as, I mean, I'm only going to peripherally touch on this because this isn't my area of expertise, but I think it would be reasonable to say that the Luma market has entered a period of tumult, right?
Yes.
It's not exactly the happiest place at the moment. So therefore, it's important for everybody who's involved in the market, both funding and otherwise, to diversify. And one of the ways in which you can diversify is the number of other post-game items that are available that are very easy to trade and get to. And those are the kinds of things that could be very easily presented as rewards in tournaments that, I mean, it doesn't have to be your first prize is the thing. These can help buffer out a list to ensure that 150K Pansun prize pool goes to the top and feels big while you've still got things that are worth something for other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You said something earlier before we started chatting, or rather before we started recording, that some groups and organizations for Temtem have to update with the times. That, there was a time and place where like Luma auctions was the best way to raise Pansuns. Now there are much better methods to do so in game. And I have been advocating this, but I really hope that kind of Krima gets behind this. Like, there should be rotating loot tables for Wish You Well coins, and the things that like Wish You Well coins are, or rather like maybe one big thing a week where it's like you can get these out of Wish You Well coins, and not like super major of like unique cosmetic, but just like this item you can normally buy in game for 40,000 Pansuns. You can get it from a Wish You Well coin, and then that might bring up or down the prices of Wish You Well coins on any given week. And I think Wish You Well coins are the way to kind of just handle like, that juiciness of wanting loot and rewards, but Pansun's not exactly equating to that because so many people have access to them now. And I think that, investment in giving out like Wish You Well coins, because there's a set number of them you can earn every week, that could be like a really cool aspect of our community. If, I don't know, if we're still looking for spectacular things to make prize pools of.
Okay, let's take this a step further, Presby. Like, what if we just hoard our Wish You Well coins and then start giving those away as our prize pool? Like, how about a 500 Wish You Well coin prize pool? I'd be into that.
I
I
would be
I
down. Go ahead, Gaijin.
I 100% like that idea. I mean,
But
because I feel
500
like the
wish you
value
well.
of I feel like the value of Wish You Well coins probably is not going to fluctuate a lot.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, this thing's going to be aggregating that, right? Like, there's no 100% one-to-one. I get Wish You Well coins mechanism in the game at the moment. You can get them from fishing. You can get them from mail, but it's not consistent. But I feel like if anyone's hunting around and manages to get that much, that's the sort of thing. Like, even 50 Wish You Well coins as a prize is something people are going to pay attention to. And one of the challenges as somebody who has been behind the scenes in tournament running is it can be challenging to make sure that people are engaged. Even fellow tamers, that is, that's got a Euro prize pool. That's the big leagues. Even then it can be challenging to make sure that people are there and participating. And you got to make sure that you've got a diversified pool to make sure that you get people engaged.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Will-O-Wisp asks in chat, how do you get wishing well coins? You get them from doing, like Quarter said, the weekly fishing quests. When you get the 4 out of 5 or the 5 out of 5, you have a chance to get them. You also get them from doing the daily mail postal quests.
A
And
chance
then
to get them.
yeah, you have a chance to get them. And then
Ooh,
occasionally they
if you
are
will.
free rewards too. And that is all of the ways you can get wishy well coins.
Yeah, so they're a lot less prevalent,
Fewer.
I think, to in the community, like, Lumas and other items. I feel like they're probably the least prevalent item currently, just because a lot of people probably are using them too. So the amount they can be earned, but they also have a very effective way of burning those, so it's not like an overflow of them in circulation.
Yeah. And
So
I
The
think
fact that
they're a good area for rewards too, because like when the new islands come out, their prices are going to skyrocket. People are going to want to breed new Tims. Every island's always going to have a well. Every well gives pheromones for Tims that breed on that or that come from that island, and people are going to want to get those pheromones early.
shout out to Workman, who's busy hoarding Hocus pheromones in the hope of getting a beautiful, beautiful teal lady out there as well. I know some people that are trying to do that because some radars are not available at the moment for some Tims that we are encountering, like Mentals.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
sad day. All right, so these are our shorter shows. We're only at a minute or an hour and hour and a half. So I'm kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding, but it is what it is. Let's go into our closing, and then we'll do our turn 30 and get into our post show. So, Quarter, you mentioned earlier you were about to get into that streaming game. Where can the peeps find you?
Thank God. I
Oh,
was
goodness.
just gonna ask why. I was gonna say, why don't you stream? I need to listen to you.
Well, okay. The reason why I used to not stream is because I had computer from like 2010 and I had slideshow power, and that doesn't necessarily lend itself to streaming particularly well. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can do a good PowerPoint presentation, but I'm not entirely sure that translates to doing comp and being like, okay, as you can see in this one frame, I've clicked this move. Yes, green circles, here we go. Finally got the upgrade. I'm waiting on like a couple more cables before I get that going. At the moment, I'm farthing on Twitch, but I don't know whether it's like, you get a little rebranding in there because it's not exactly the same as Quarter there, but it is my in-game name in Temtem, so it could be easier to work with that.
Yeah. So I'll
All right.
give anybody who is listening to this in the future the guarantee, if Quarter starts streaming and he decides to change your username, I will update the YouTube and the RSS feed show notes with a link to
And
find Quarter.
Quarter,
Aw,
feel
you
free to go
sweet.
ahead and drop your current Twitch link there.
Oh,
in
certainly.
the chat if you want. This way people can just go grab it right now if they want. Because
Oh, that's very kind of you. One second. I don't
I'm
even
gonna
know how to
follow.
do that.
Because people like my voice. People like Rosie's voice. I like Rosie's voice, but I really like your voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm
I
I'm not
really
a
appreciate it.
I'm not a voice Tim streamer. I just bring them good looks. I'm kidding.
Now we're talking.
All right.
Kennedy.
Gaijin, do you want to go next or do you want me to?
I mean, go ahead.
So yeah,
Find
I
some
run
people
the
first.
academy on my stream. It is Presby Kennedy on Twitch TV, and I make D&D content on YouTube. And of course on Twitter at Presby Kennedy. I'll try and tweet out more things that I'm doing, but also right here, right now, we're going to be doing more stuff on this channel. So make sure you follow Temtalk Show on Twitch TV. Is where we record these episodes live. If you ever want to come in and hang out with us while we're recording the episode that you're listening to now.
That's correct. Twitch.tv/temtalkshow. Super easy to find. Same thing as Twitter. And just come on, give us a follow. And if you're here watching now and you want to follow, please do, because we're gonna just be streaming here exclusively. We're gonna have some upcoming events. We don't know logistics of stuff, but there may be some tournaments in the future, some giveaways as well here. So give us a follow, and we'll provide more than just Tem Talk, which I think you guys think is enough already, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so Quarter, we threw it to you at the top of the show about the turn 30. This is our section where we talk about something on Tim related. We are all wonderful people with lots of varied interests, and we always let the guests have the opportunity to take the turn 30. Is there anything you want to share that you really enjoy, that you find interesting with all the peeps?
I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of things that I do in my spare time. I actually find it hard to fit everything that I like doing in. I brew beer in my spare time alongside a load of separate cooking. When I'm allowed outside, because I'm in the UK and we're technically in lockdown, I'm a amateur circus performer doing fire, staff, and contact juggling. I also sing, play the trombone, all sorts of little things like that. Another thing I like doing in my spare time is I've got a jacket that I've had since I was like 12 years old that I patched up. It's like a tweed jacket that's like filled with patches. At some point, like
Were you a
I'll
Boy
like
Scout?
try to broadcast pictures of it or something and somewhere. It's been my
Confirmed.
stitching project for a while.
Confirmed. Quarter has not grown an inch since age 12.
Oh, it used to be huge on me, but no, in truth, it's actually that I'm only 5'2", clearly.
So okay, I want to talk about the jacket. That's the one I'll pick out because I used to have this pullover. I gave it to my partner, and I called it my lucky pullover, but it's actually my unlucky pullover. I had it for like the better part of a decade, and this thing was like so worn out, and I put patches on it and everything. And I used to do stand-up comedy. And I wore it to every single stand-up competition that I participated in, and I've never won a stand-up competition. So I don't know, I like to call it my lucky jacket because it always made me comfortable performing in, but I also never won anything in it, so I don't know how lucky it was. But
I mean, yeah, that's the kind of thing where it's like, I mean, hey, if it makes you feel comfortable on stage, that's one of the important things with it. This one, it's been like, it's back when I like was at school and doing like music stuff, traveling around, I basically lived in this jacket and it was falling to pieces. So it was sort of a matter of either I throw it away or burn it or sell it or something, or just learn how to fix it back up. And I've just been adding pockets and patches to it ever since.
Damn, that's actually a really cool. I've had a couple of like shirts. I've never kept a jacket or a hat or really. So I lose stuff a lot. But
Oh man, rude.
I've never had a piece of clothing that I've like kept that long, except for one shirt. I never put patches on it or anything like that. It was this bright pink Volcom shirt. I used to be such a skater boy, And the thing had like a billion holes in it by the time one of my ex-girlfriends like got mad and ripped it off of me at one point because I don't know, she knew I
Oh,
liked it, so
that's
rip.
unfortunate. All right, let's end the show right there. If you've been watching and hanging out with us, this is where the end of the recording is going to be. We record these every night on Monday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can join us live next time we record this. We might change it in the future, but if we do, we will let everybody know. Have
And
a
before we end this here, let me do my plugs.
Oh, go ahead.
Because
I thought you did. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. You
no,
kinda skipped
I was plugging Temtalk Show.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gaijin. I wasn't even paying
Look at
attention.
this
Go
selfless
for it.
individual putting Temtalk above his own stream. We need
That's
more people
right.
like Gaijin Buu in the business, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, you guys can all find me twitch.tv/its ITS Gaijinbu GAIJINBUU. I stream a lot of Temtem. I stream a lot of other games as well. So you can find me basically every other social platform except Facebook, also with the same username. So that's where I'm at.
All right. That's where we're gonna end the recording. Stick around, everybody, live, and we're gonna do a post show.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, and let's click this.
Is an illusion.
All right. Now I'm going to be right back since Kennedy ran away
Oh, goodness.
for a moment. Now it's my turn.